What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Listen, don't ever say that I don't love you, because as I said at the end of my Bam and Tyler video replay, maybe I'll watch the Kasparas Jakučionis debut game, and I'll see how that went for everybody, and I'll check that out, and we could recap it. And well, I'm here to report that I watched the Sioux Falls Skyforce lose 152 to 112. So it wasn't a great game, and it wasn't a great watch. And I basically got the Sioux Falls Skyforce getting bludgeoned for 90% of the game, I would say. And it was not a fantastic debut for Kasparas Jakučionis. I actually kind of wish I would have just left it to the box score, because it was a struggle. It was a struggle for the rook. I'm not freaking out about it. Like, it's his first game action in a long time. So I think that has to be the first thing. If we're going to do what I'm going to do for Cass, is we're going to crank up the excuse machine for him, because he hasn't played in a while. The other thing that stood out that was entertaining for me as a Canes fan was there were some great names in this game. An old Windy City Bulls team, it should be pointed out. You had Mac McClung, of course, of Slam Dunk champion fame, and Kevin Knox, former number 9 overall pick, was on their squad. And the one that delighted me the most was Wooga Poplar, who's not old. He's, I think, 23, but he was undrafted rookie. Of course, Miami Hurricanes fame, was on the Final Four team, one of the coolest names out there. And he, in a lot of times tonight, he had Kasparas Jakučionis in hell. He really did. And it was tough. It was tough sledding for Kasparas. It was a tough game overall, again, to assess for everybody, just because, I can't. First of all, Dan Basacchio Coach Dan was not happy with some of the effort on these, because, I mean, for the most part, the starters were getting absolutely hammered by 20, 30, and then eventually rolled up there to a 40-point loss for the Skyforce. But it was mostly on the starters, and Kasparas included. Cass finished today a minus 36 for the game, only to be outdone, I believe, by Dane Danger, who was a minus 46 for the game. Woof. It was it was rough sledding. And just to be fair, just full disclosure on this, look, I only tuned into this game to watch Kasparas Jakučionis. That could be a tough way to watch somebody play basketball, because you're literally just focused on one person. Don't really care about anybody else on the court. Don't really, I'm not really linked in on anybody. This is the Heat's, but to be fair, just so I don't come across like a dick, it's the Heat's first round pick. That's what I'm tuned in for, dude. Like, if anybody else pops, cool. But they lost by 40. Not many guys did, maybe other than like Myron Gardner, who had a respectable game, and Gabe Madsen, who we saw in preseason. He had a good game. That bench unit had like the best run for this team at one point, like where they're getting absolutely the doors blown off them in the second quarter. In fact, this was probably the part of the game where, like, it was the biggest learning lesson and then the best swing for Cass from the lesson, because, the big highlight in the first quarter was Kasparas hit a 3 to end the first quarter, but it only cut the lead to 20. It was kind of like that meme of Chris Paul. Chris Paul hits a huge 3 to cut the Suns lead, cut the Suns deficit to 30. It was like that meme. When it goes in, Kasparas has a pretty shot, but it really wasn't the 3 ball that troubled him. I know that's the big knock on him. He had a couple of nice looking threes today. A big step back in the third. Was it the third quarter, fourth quarter? It was in the third quarter, fourth quarter, excuse me. But Oh man, the turnovers were the big thing today. I think if anything is going to stand out about Kasparas Jakučionis' game today, and this was a big knock on him coming into the league, taking care of the basketball. He had some ugly ones. I think he had 6 in total, and like none of them were cheapies. He had not back to back plays, but back. It was a play, so he's driving and he's like got this with handle, and then all of a sudden, just like the Monstar stole his talent, dribbles it right off his foot, goes the other way. Wooga Poplar leads to an alley oop, and it put the Windy City Bulls up 25. Then Bulls get another basket, and then another play. He does nearly the same thing. He's driving the hoop. He gets all the way, kind of back, kicks it, but stays in bounds with the Bulls, and it leads the other way for a hit-ahead dunk. And you're just like, yikes. And that made it 56-31. Coach Dan calls timeout. Dan Basacchio calls timeout, and he takes out all of his starters. And he was just like, he's done. And then that was the place that I was alluded to. The bench unit did a good job. They actually got it, I think, down to 10. And so he gets his next stint. And this, I would say, was probably his best stint of the game, was at the end of the second quarter. He started it off and he tried like a reverse layup. He hit absolutely nothing. A lot of clumsy looking stuff from Cat. Like Kasparas was trying some fancy stuff and like none of it was hitting today. And then his best play to kind of get his good momentum going was and we saw this a lot in the G League. He's really good at that back tap to lead to a steal. So he did one of those. It led to a Sioux Falls bucket, got it to 12. And then he had a great stop and go drive to the basket that got it back to a 10-point deficit. And then he had a nice little maneuver to draw a foul, but he couldn't hit the free throws. Maybe it was just one free throw. The G League has this weird, you hit one for 2 points. That's kind of the way they're doing it. So he missed the free throw, and they moved into halftime. But that end of second quarter was probably the best we saw from the rookie in this. He just kind of made the simple play and made it happen. I think anytime he kind of got fancy with the spices, it was it tended to lead to disaster for him. Yeah, they go to the third quarter. There wasn't really much for him. He missed a step back three. He got some early fouls. Mac McClung hit a three, and Dan Basacchio gave his starters the heave ho, I think, for the rest of the fourth quarter. Very early for the rest of the third quarter, very early into the third, he was tired of their ass. Understandably so. They were getting their ass whooped the entire game. So fourth quarter starts off, and Kasparas was getting roughed up by Wooga Poplar a little bit. Wooga was getting pretty physical with him on a back-to-back plays. Then he kind of tries to dap him up. I don't know how much Cass like that, but that's what went down there. And then tried a little drive to the rim, and he got blocked by both intangible Windy City Bulls. Had no shot of going in. And then he had a couple of nice setups for his teammates. They just couldn't convert. And that's another thing that's tough here is like probably on a better team. Like Cass today finished with, what did he finish with? He had only 2 assists. I would say like on a competent basketball team today that he was playing with, he probably would have had like 5-6 assists, he in setting up his teammates. It's not to say that he had a good game. I'm just trying to put a little polish on what was a rough outing. He had like 3 really nice setups for his teammates, and they blew all 3 of them. He'd have his step back 3 in the fourth quarter. That'd be kind of his last big highlight of the night. And then there were just things that he just didn't see. Like he got a rebound, he's getting a fast break going, cross court pass gets picked off, and then he tries to drive down the alley. Tries a no look pass to Dane Danger. Wooga Poplar picks him off. He read him like a book. Like, really rough. Then he had a nice rebound, and then he coughed it right up for a Bulls bucket on their end. So, you know, there were just so many moments. You could just see like the game was moving a little fast for him. Um, it maybe, they mentioned this on the broadcast. It was the Bulls broadcast. Like, look, you got all these G Leaguers. They see you're a first round pick, especially the ones that are trying to claw their way back in the league. They're going to go after you a little bit. They're going to feel some type of way. So he's going to have that bullseye. He had this one, though, the one that was probably the roughest and surmised his whole day was he he like got like grabbed a little bit, and I forget who the defender was, but he ended up like trying to like take the contact and throw it up. Like he was doing a lot of like Luca stuff where like he's throwing the head, throwing the body, trying to get contact. These refs were giving him nothing. They were giving him none of those tricks today. And so he gets like one of these plays. You guys go back and watch it. It was in the fourth quarter, about 5-6 minutes left. I forget exactly what time it was, but he like gets it and he just does a whirly bird spinneroonie, throws the ball up in the air towards the basket, and he's furious at the officials that he gets no call on the play. And they're just like, dude, we're not giving you that call. Like, are you kidding? First of all, it's a 40-point game right now. Second of all, you're not getting that call, Kasparas Jakučionis. So it was rough. It was a rough one. Even the Bulls announcers were having a go at him afterwards, where like he was trying to, you could tell he was trying to force it at the end. Like he was relentless the last few minutes, his last stint before Coach Dan Bisaccio brought in the bench to close things out. You could tell very much like he was trying to get a couple more baskets to go. He had like a 3-tip miss. He kept getting his rebound and couldn't get it to go. And then finally he went and got another putback flying out of nowhere and took a pretty nasty fall and ended up going to the free throw line. He makes it. You get 2 points for the one make. So it was it was an ugly one. It was not a fantastic performance by him. Minus 36 on the night. He had 6 turnovers that were all very memorable. Finished with 12 points for the final box score. For those who didn't know, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 4-15 from the field, 2 of 5 from downtown. But the turnovers to me were the biggest thing that stood out about Kaz. Like the buckets, okay, rough night. Especially in the paint, just couldn't get anything to go. Everybody had a beat on him. Had a defender that was doing a great job on him. But it was the giveaways, I think, and especially that second quarter where it led to buckets easily for the Bulls. Yeah, those were tough. Those were tough. So he's got to get those under control. But dude, I will say this: he is playing his ass off. You want to talk about like any of the motor issues or anything? Not a thing. Plays his ass off. I would even say maybe overplayed. Like looked like he was pushing and pressing a little bit too much, a little Jovic-ish. Not to go euro to euro, but like a little bit of that. You could tell he was pressing to try and make a play happen, and sometimes that over try and get you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else he's got. But he this is the right place for him right now. I guess I come away with that. Like after a game like tonight and seeing what a little physicality does, I do think that it's not to say that he can't play in an NBA game. I think he could be okay, but I do think that especially with that much time off, it's the prudent thing to do is to have him down here, and especially knowing like there's not a lot of minutes to come by in the team right now. Like Spo's kind of got his set rotation. He's got his starting 5, his backup 5. Tyler's coming back. So this is probably the right place for him right now. But it was not a pretty night for Kasparas Jakučionis in his first G League game.